Trump, chances are he could be watching us right now from his plane. What message do you have to President Trump right now as he comes to this event?
I want a picture with you, sir. You are just, you know what? God sent him down here. I promise you. He's working for God.
Yeah.
Big thing in my world.
There's a big picture at play here.
Donald Trump is a gift from God, according to one Trump rally-goer in Iowa. Look, that might sound absolutely insane to most people, but it's worth understanding why she feels this way. Luckily, she provided some insight into what she's actually looking for from politicians and the government. Unfortunately, Donald Trump ain't gonna give it to her.
What is Trump, under his policies, how did it benefit your life? Are you work? Are you retired? I mean,
no, I'm disabled. I have a broken plate in my back. And it really bummed me because during COVID, I was supposed to get my third surgery and have it fixed. And when the doctor, a very big specialist, went to fix it, he said, "Where's your Medicaid?" I said, "What do you mean, where's my Medicaid?" "Well, they took my Medicaid." So I'm coming up here hoping I can get my surgery done.
Look, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, what she's sharing is heartbreaking, and I think it resonates with countless other Americans due to our broken healthcare system. And while we don't know why she lost her Medicaid, what we do know is that despite her thoughts on how helpful Trump is on the issue of healthcare, he actually did everything he could to weaken the program and make it less accessible to Americans. Let me show you the receipts. The Trump administration issued guidance in January of 2020, inviting states to seek demonstration projects known as waivers that would radically overhaul Medicaid coverage for adults. Under the guidance, states could apply for waivers that would convert their Medicaid programs for adults into a form of block grant with capped federal funding and new authorities to cut coverage and benefits. States with block grant waivers could deny coverage for prescription drugs, allow states to impose higher co-payments on people in poverty, and even waive standards for managed care plans, which many states use to provide Medicaid coverage. And this is one of the situations in which a broken and ineffective Congress actually worked in our favor because they failed to move that legislation forward. However, the Trump administration also gave states unprecedented authority to require people in poverty to pay premiums for their health coverage. In Wisconsin, for example, the Trump administration in October of 2018 approved a proposal that lets the state take coverage away from people with incomes below the poverty line if they don't pay monthly premiums. Those with incomes as low as 50% of the poverty line, about $500 per month for an adult without dependents, can lose Medicaid for up to 6 months if they don't pay premiums. He also tried to implement stricter work requirements for Medicaid recipients, which was blocked by the courts. But the Trump fan we heard from earlier isn't alone in wanting more government involvement in our healthcare system. Public polling shows that programs like Medicaid are in fact extremely popular. And I gotta be honest, I was surprised about this as well. I knew that Medicare was popular, didn't expect this in regard to Medicaid. So a Kaiser Family Foundation poll found in March that 3/4 of the public say they have an either very favorable or somewhat favorable view of the program. Even when you break down support based on political party, 89% of Democrats, 75% of independents, and 65% of Republicans view the program favorably. I mean, just listen to this gentleman who attended Trump's speech this week. He claimed that the socialist policies of Democrats are ruining America. But then he said this.
Everything, the cost of everything is way too high.
And insurance, medical insurance as well, Medicaid. Yeah, right.
Well, fortunately, I'm on Medicare, so that helps out a lot right there. And I'm a veteran, so I've got my VA benefits, so.
Just consider the fact that when Donald Trump is attacking Ron DeSantis, oftentimes he attacks Ron DeSantis for wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare. See, Trump understands how popular these programs are, which is likely the reason why his supporters are under the impression that he wants to protect rather than cut these programs. And look, I get the urge is to dunk on the man that we just watched for not realizing that these government programs are the very programs that the Republican Party essentially wants to cut funding to. However, I think the real culprit is how the media filter bubbles propagandize and mislead Americans about these issues. Trump spews economic populist messaging that he has no intention of actually fulfilling, and conservative media outlets provide cover for the lies. And it didn't start with Trump either. It's always a little weird when you see these kinds of signs, and they've been used for decades. This sign, for instance, says, "Keep government out of my Medicare." You see it at protests. And again, signs like these have been around for decades. But look, I've found way more success in calmly conversing with conservatives about these issues rather than trying to correct them or give them the impression that I'm lecturing to them. I just engage in a good faith exchange. And while we might not agree at all in the end, that's okay. But guess what? Despite how politicized and tribal everything has become, we're all ordinary people who experience the same crap and in a lot of cases want the same things. So we're all experiencing the flaws in our political system and suffering from the consequences of elected leaders who fall short. If someone is misled or misinformed, and many of us, by the way, are on various issues, having these conversations from a place of kindness and understanding can really make a difference. In fact, it could maybe even cut through the media filter bubbles and the corporate media's, misrepresentation of various issues. At this point, with how things work, I really think that's the only hope we have in getting through to one another. Again, addressing each other from a place of kindness, a place of understanding, and instead of trying to correct people or dunk on people, what if we just have conversations with people that we think we disagree with? And I say think we disagree with because when you really cut through the BS, when it comes to the bread and butter issues, poll after poll shows that the majority of Americans, ordinary people, agree on a lot of these policy proposals, agree on a lot of these government programs, do not want to cut these government programs. Trump, again, realizes that, which is why he campaigns with an economic populist message. But I think it's really, really important to avoid cutting off ties with some of our friends or family members who have kind of bought into the hype in the right wing, and instead, again, have these conversations from a place of good faith, a place of understanding. Because if we don't, all we're gonna deal with is an increasingly polarized country where a huge population of Americans who actually agree on a lot become increasingly divided. We gotta find ways to avoid that from happening, or at least happening more than it already has.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.